You know, there are things that you ask yourself a question: how, why, and who is behind this? How come we have Shameela Batohi saying this 3 months ago, talking about how much the NPA is infiltrated by criminals and political individuals who are running away from being prosecuted? They have found a way into the NPA and they are hiding through the NPA. She said that 3 months ago. Specifically, I'm going to give you the date when she said that. Now, Mkhwanzi take a stand on the commission and said something about the NPA being infiltrated. Now that it is Mkhwanzi that says that, guess what? The tone has changed. Suddenly, Shameela Batohi is now suffering from amnesia, forgetting the things she recently said. Is it convenience? Or what? I don't know. But you know what I know? Is that we need to start from where General Mkhwanzi started with this whole thing here, NPA, that declined to prosecute certain cases, right? So they declined to prosecute certain cases. Why? We don't know. As soon as Mkhwanzi highlights the inconsistency from there, then the same Shameela Batohi then goes on media and say that people should reserve their judgment. I'm going to bring everything together in this specific episode before we can successfully take off. We need to start where Mkhwanzi started, proving a point that there is a deliberate effort from the NPA not to prosecute certain cases. It's not what I will say, it is Mkhwanzi. Here.
On the matter of Mpangeni that got me into the media, that involving those drugs and ammunition that were found in prison. After I had requested the inquiry be registered and be investigated, on the 14th of February 2025, Advocate Mkhwanzi of the NPA declined to prosecute on this matter on the position of drugs and ammunition. I believe that confirmed my suspicion that we couldn't prove that she is got to do with these 5 rounds of ammunition and these few pills that were found in a dustbin. So the NPA declined to prosecute on that matter.
I apologize. You have attached Colonel Ndlovu's affidavit as well as the NPA letter, and both are MK26. Just to point out to the commissioners that the first document is the affidavit. The actual letter declining to prosecute is at 601 of that annexure. It's a handwritten entry, I think, into the investigation diary signed by Advocate Mkhwanzi.
That is correct, Commissioners, and if the Commissioner allow me to read on 601, the entry that was made by the advocate in that inquiry and his actual reasons for declining to prosecute. It reads as follows, and is dated the 14th of February 2025. I decline to prosecute Nelisile Joyce Ndlovu on the unlawful possession of ammunition and drugs. The photo album was received. It is clear that the above items were found outside her house in the dustbin where anyone would have access to. There will be no prospect of successful prosecuting Ms. Ndlovu, signed by the prosecutor. So, Commissioners, this goes to demonstrate exactly my suspicion on this matter as it started, that rather make this inquiry, take this thing to forensic lab, get forensic people to come in here, and I guess they did. That's why there's photograph, which means forensic people came. did a touch DNA, took photos, and they filed it in an inquiry, and they couldn't prove that this person who sleeps in this house is responsible for the dustbin outside, and the content that was inside the dustbin.
Now, as soon as Mkhwanzi was done saying that, then this Shameela Batohi, same Shameela Batohi, was quoted saying, nope. She was like, no, guys, no. Basically, people must reserve their judgment. We ask, why should people reserve their judgment? And I want to submit this before I read what she said. It looks to me, or it appears to me, that Miss Shameela Batohi, or Mrs. Shameela Batohi, I'm not sure, has a problem of, or it looks to me that somebody said, if you want your job, you need to isolate General Mkhwanzi. Otherwise, if you guys ever agree with General Mkhwanzi, then kiss your job and forget. Because we can't have the same person saying something different 3 months ago, and then now that Mkhwanzi have spoken, instead of supporting Mkhwanzi, and then there she goes again. Now she's now mumbling, and you don't understand what is going. Let's start with what she recently said. She said this, as quoted by South African Daily. Batohi urges the public to reserve judgment as Madlanga Commission hears explosive allegation. Johanna Batike, National Director of Public Prosecutions, NDPP, Shameela Batohi, has appealed to South Africans to remain cautious and avoid drawing premature conclusion as the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into Criminality, Political Interference and Corruption in the Criminal Justice System, better known as Madlanga Commission, continues its high-profile hearings. Speaking in response to mounting speculation, Batohi said the commission is still at the stage of gathering and testing evidence, and stressed that allegations currently dominating headlines have yet to be proven. She said, I quote, "We understand the public outrage and concern, but it is vital that we respect due processes. These allegations, not findings. The commission must be allowed to do its work without fear and prejudice." Very interesting. Very, 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 very interesting, I tell you. Because why in the world, or tell me why, Shameela Batohi has suddenly or seemingly is making a U-turn in her very own statement. Now you say, Bongs, take me through. What did Shameela Batohi say? If you say she said it, well, she said this. Let's read an article from IOL released on the 7th of June 2025, where Shameela Batohi said, the heading of the article said, Shameela Batohi faces pressure to clarify NPA interference claims, right? Then listen to what she said. We are having internal challenges. Some prosecutors may not be aligned with the vision of really fighting for the rule of law in this country. Do you remember General Mkhwanzi speaking about prosecutors who are part and parcel of the cartel? So if you listen to what Shameela Batohi is saying versus what Mkhwanzi said about that, tell me if they are not aligning. I'll tell you this. For me, the two are aligning in that Batohi speaks about infiltration and prosecutors that are not necessarily interested to see justice prevailing. Yet Mkhwanzi, on the other hand, spoke about prosecutors being members of the cartel. Here.
And I can confirm before the South Africans today that the investigation which these members were involved with in Gauteng has unmasked the syndicate. And this syndicate involves amongst others, politicians who are currently serving in Parliament. The law enforcement officers include the members of the South African Police Service, the Metro Police, and correctional services. They include prosecutors in Gauteng province, the judiciary, and all these are controlled by the drug cartel as well as business people in that province of Gauteng.
So, according to me, this was the perfect time for Shameela Batohi to actually align herself with what Mkhwanzi said. Because she, in her own words, unprovoked. Let's read this. You will see it. You'll hear what she said, rather. Listen to what she said. Going down with the article, she then said something very interesting. This is not a casual institutional complaint. It is a constitutional red flag of the highest order. An assertion from the NDPP itself that the NPA has been infiltrated should send a shockwave throughout every organ of the state. Hence, Mkhwanzi is reacting the way he's reacting because it should shock everybody. Now, when you read the last part, it says, Utrolip Utip, the NPA has become a refuge of political connected individuals. A place where accountability is avoided. Justice is delayed. Prosecutions collapse with shocking regularity. Under Batohi's leadership, the NPA reels from one scandal to the next. Now, very interesting, right? Because Shameela Batohi, as quoted by Daily Maverick, in an article that is released, or that is dated 28 August 2025, from what I'm seeing, there is something that we don't understand from that very same Shameela Batohi. It's not me. You will listen to that same Shameela Batohi arguing that there is crisis in the NPA. Unprovoked. She said so. Let's go through the article. It says, I think the criminal justice system faces many challenges and the crisis is strong. But I think perhaps we need to call it like it is. I think there is crisis in this country. Shameela Batohi. Shameela Batohi. Shameela Batohi. You know, I mean, we have come through a period of state capture. And that's why I welcome the Madlanga Commission, because I think if things like that are still going on, we need to root out the bad apple in our institutions, and we need to make sure that after fair processes, we kick them out. Shameela Batohi speaks. She says, at the moment there are allegations, and you know we need to ensure that they were properly aired and we know what's going on and that we deal with it, she said. But let's read this last part. She said, in order to deal with these cases, you need a strong institution. That is the druggery of the black office work that doesn't make the headlines. She goes on to talk about the good things that they've been doing that are not quoted and blah, 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 blah. We leave that. Now, here's an interesting part again. People must reserve their judgment. That is a statement that is said by the same people, same person. The same person who told us that there is capture. There is capture of a highest form. Who did we hear that from? Shameela Batohi. Shameela Batohi welcomes the Madlanga Commission. The Madlanga Commission begins. Mkhwanzi points out state capture in the very same NPA. People must reserve their judgment. Okay, maybe I'm probably mentally disturbed. I don't know. There is that possibility, right? Maybe. just maybe, I am mentally disturbed. Tell me why Shameela Batohi makes a quick U-turn. Something she said unprovoked. To me, I'm a man, Bonanda sin subject to correction. It sounds like she was told to say, hey ma'am, if you want your job, you are either going to distance yourself from Mkhwanzi, or if you align, you will kiss your job. We will do what we did to Advocate Mkhwanzi. Even if you are left with 2 months, we will make sure that we disgrace you. Because this is the perfect opportunity for her to align with Mkhwanzi, because her very own statement in the past was aligning with Mkhwanzi. Why suddenly there's a change? You'll tell me in the comment section below.